Yeah.
They love those countries. They see them, they're like, oh, that's where Timon and Pumbaa were with Simba singing.
Exactly. Yeah. So where is what was I gonna say? Um,
We are roll.
we're rolling. So what is your pod about?
So I go with people, like I make a little half about comedy kind of, but then switch between that and what the person knows well.
Okay.
Like this.
Yeah, that works.
I know you talk a lot about Minnesota and stuff, and I gotta say, I've never been to Minnesota. But my paternal grandfather, he's from Duluth, apparently.
Okay. Yeah, Duluth. That's I've never been to Duluth. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I know obviously Bob Dylan's from there. Mason Jennings has a beautiful song called Duluth. I think he's a Minnesota artist. He's like an acoustic folk guy. But yeah, that's all I know about it. I know Lake Superior is there. One of the natural water wonders of water. I don't know. It's an enormous lake.
Connection to Canada.
Connected to Canada, yeah. Yeah, Minnesota's a cool spot.
And if you're not getting a bunch of snow, you're getting a bunch of mosquitoes just eating up at
You're
you.
getting humidity, 75% humidity. None of this dry heat that all these fucking bitchy Arizona people
Yeah, none of the stuff
over here get spoiled with.
that you can go underneath the shaded area and escape it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
shade.
Because luckily,
Also, not enough evergreen trees here, if you ask me.
big
Or
time.
or hills is very flat unless you're hiking.
It is.
And that's
very,
like a mountain, so it's like I want to have to go to a mountain to hike.
That is a big difference here. True. Like noticing it's just so flat most areas.
Yeah.
But then again, that's a benefit because you don't have to worry about like parking or driving down an incline.
Well, you drive a stick shift, so
Yeah.
your problems are much different. Dude, I remember when I did Uber Eats, I would have to deliver to like some of the houses over by like I don't even know where exactly they were, but they were very nice. They were on mountains, and it was so steep. It was over by like
Cave Creek or Paradise
by
Valley.
like yeah, like Paradise Valley near there, and also like where Sunny Slope is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we haven't even been recording.
I'm trying to just like get it. Or Sunny. You're saying it was like a neighborhood, or you're saying like certain.
Yeah. There are like certain neighborhoods like near like Sunny Slope and like Paradise Valley and stuff that are like on a mountain, and that's where the houses are. So it's like super steep. So you have to drive up a mountain with my fucking 90 horsepower Prius, and I'd just be terrified too because like I'd be scared of like my car going down. Like there's one neighborhood, it was like gated, but it was up a steep mountain and there's all these houses, and I had to deliver, this food. It was like Applebee's, and I remember I had to like put the car in park and then point the tires towards, basically towards downhill so it wouldn't hit a house. And I remember when I shut off the car, it bucked like really hard because I already have front brakes and it was putting all the pressure on them. But yeah, I remember being like, oh fuck, please, my Prius, don't die on me.
I only learned from having to drive in San Francisco that it's like you get those tires facing the curb.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you get to see a variety of houses with those food delivery jobs. I did Postmates for like about 2 years in college, and you come across different people. You learn how to strategize too. Mm-hmm. Like I realized, like do the very late or very early hours because people don't want to. There's not many drivers then, so.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't know how far of a distance. I remember doing it where you could find out where the delivery address would be before you decided to accept the offer.
Yeah.
And then over time, they took that away.
Because enough people were like, I'm not taking this. I got no tip. Fuck out of here.
Exactly. It's
yeah,
like, look
there's
how,
a lot of that.
I want one that's a 10-minute drive away. What the hell is this?
A 10-minute drive. Yeah, 10-minute drive, like 2 miles and $40. Yeah.
It's 10 minutes from the restaurant. It's like I get to the person's door in 10 minutes. Yeah, I never got too many rich ones. Scottsdale, I think a few times maybe. Because, I was close to the ASU campus, so I was getting more stuff around there. But, yeah, some of those places, like a gated door. I know a baseball player from one of my favorite teams. He got arrested in Scottsdale for pointing his gun at I think it was an Uber Eats driver. His name was Bruce Maxwell. He's no longer with them anymore.
Yo, shout out to Bruce Maxwell, bro. He's a real one. He pointed a gun at a police officer.
Yeah, well, it turned out he was drunk when the whole thing happened, and he didn't realize he had ordered food.
Can I ask a question? Was he white?
No, he was.
Oh, okay. That's even more surprising. I was going to say, I was like, how does a black man get away with pointing a gun at a
He
cop?
was actually the first.
He's like, dude, I'm a big fan of the cop.
He was the first baseball player that actually started to kneel during the national anthem during games.
Oh, okay. And then all the baseball fans were like, get the fuck off the field, goddammit. You better stand for that anthem.
Well, maybe if he was playing in a place like Atlanta or something like that. Or it's like, in Oakland, they're kind of like, oh, fuck it. It's like, the Black Panthers are from there. They're allowed to go all counterculture.
Well, yeah, Oakland's also like, the Bay Area. It's much more like liberal.
Oh,
all
yeah.
That fun stuff.
Light it on fire and shit.
Exactly.
Let's go to Berkeley's campus and riot at the Amazon store they have there.
I didn't even know that Amazon store there. That's great.
Well, it's like one of those places where a delivery, and then it's like a cubby you go to, and then you put in the code what it is, and it opens your Amazon package.
Oh, okay.
Like if you don't have a delivery address.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to go to like school in like California, like go to college there. And like I didn't know that you could just apply to other out-of-state schools. Because everyone I knew would only apply to in-state. And they were like one of my brother's friends went to Berkeley, and he's from our shitty town of Minnesota. And I just remember just being like, "Oh yeah, you could apply like out of state." And like as a kid, everyone just stayed in Minnesota. There were so many schools there that everyone just stayed in Minnesota, or they went to Iowa or South Dakota or some bullshit.
One of the neighbor. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like most people do just because of the whole lower tuition.
Yeah.
If you're in state.
Well, it's funny because Minnesota, the way it works with state schools is like if your state touches Minnesota, then you get in-state tuition.
No.
But the other states don't do that for us. So it's like, fuck you guys, Iowa. All right, why do we have to pay out of state? We're right there.
Wow, Minnesota's so nice, and no one wants
I
to
know,
reciprocate.
right? They're so nice. They're too nice, if you ask me. God damn it, no.
At least they live up to their reputation in that sense.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I noticed when I moved here was like how mean people can be sometimes. Like there's no friendly, there's no like camaraderie. People didn't wave. It was just like no one held the door. It was just like weird because like Minnesota, it is very friendly. People are always very nice. And like I moved out here and I was like, God, everyone's so mean out here. Jesus fucking Christ.
I wonder if the reason it's kind of like that here, maybe it's a lot of transplants. And
It is.
It's so many different types of people
Yeah.
that it's not even just one type. It's a mixture of just people from everywhere and different styles clashing.
Yeah, I saw a stat last year that said like 90% of Arizonans
Were not born in the state.
not from here. Yeah.
Yep.
Only 10% are born and raised. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And even with comics, like most of the people we know are from other places.
True, exactly. But I do like meeting people who are from here because you then get to ask, like, okay, how has the development changed? Because even me just being here since when I started going to ASU August 2014, just seeing the development, everything new that's been built has been insane.
That's been crazy, especially like downtown. Like I live in Central Phoenix, not like close to downtown. It's like I live like 2 miles from downtown, but in that whole area, I've lived there for the past 9 years, and every year I've seen it change. Like all these giant apartment complexes that didn't exist, and all these new businesses. Like this used to be just a plot of dirt for like 8 years, you know, and that's been weird to see.
That's why I'm waiting for right across the street for that to happen over there.
What's gonna happen there?
Oh, it's just been a big plot of dirt over there.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like
It
eventually.
probably will happen because, like, you know, I got a new job, and so I have to commute to Scottsdale, North Scottsdale, and like on my drive there, there's all these new apartment complexes being built. Like when you're driving on the 101, you see it on both sides, and it's crazy.
All the development near the highway. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of like enormous apartment buildings being built, and they're still being built, but you see them like on both sides of the highway.
Those luxury Scottsdale apartments.
Yeah, they definitely do that. And also, my job, I was thinking about. Oh yeah, I was thinking about like, you know how like some podcasters they have a job, right? They have like a regular job.
Yeah.
And then they'll like have a fake name on their podcast because they don't want it to get out. And I was like, but what if it does? Like, to me, it's just so stupid. It's like it's either all or nothing, you know. Unless you're like a doctor or something, and you have some raunchy podcast. But like, I think it should be all or nothing. Like, if you are going to be on a crazy podcast, put your real name out there, bitch, and be open, or just don't do it.
Or at least use your first name and stuff. Like how Kev the All-Star.
Yeah.
Like, okay, his first name's obviously Kevin, but
Yeah, they will do that.
yeah. Yeah,
But
it's
to me,
like-
I'm like, quit trying to live double lives out here. What the fuck are we doing? What are you,
Exactly.
Batman, bitch? Fuck out of here. You do a dumb podcast. You don't need another goddamn name.
You don't need another persona. You don't need to think
Exactly.
you're Clark Kent or Bruce,
Bruce
Wayne. And
Wayne, exactly.
You run your double life, or you're
You
more
run,
modern.
you run one life like a goddamn adult in America.
All right, you ain't no Hannah Montana running in your Miley Cyrus
Oh my
life.
God.
Get the fuck out of
Hannah
here.
Montana.
Exactly.
What was it? Somebody said like they knew their boyfriend was a creep when they asked him what his favorite artist was, and he said Hannah Montana, and they're like, he didn't even say Miley Cyrus. He said Hannah Montana. This guy a pedophile? What the fuck? It's like, that's hilarious.
Either he watches it a lot himself,
Yeah.
or he's with kids when he watches it. a
Yeah,
lot.
exactly.
Those are the only two rational explanations I could find.
Yeah, more than likely he's a weirdo.
Oh, so many weirdos. That was another thing noticing coming to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes like a year or two, then you get to see, oh, I see why there's a bunch of weird ass people that live here.
Yeah.
Especially when you go to some places like
I also
Mesa. or-
think this is my theory. I've been shot down by a few people of my theory. I think there's something about the desert. I remember hearing Santino talk about this too. I think it's something about the desert. When you live in the desert, or even when you grow up in the desert, there's like this. People are almost like scorpions. It's like it's this wild culture. It's like this cowboy, Wild West. I do what I want culture, and then it's such a heavy drinking culture here too. I feel like it rivals a lot of cities with drinking because there's so many bars. It's so hot most of the year. We're just going to be indoors, and people like to get lit here.
Do you think that crosses together the drinking and the, what was the first thing you said you observed? Or with the people?
Like the cowboy, like the
like they're just like trying to like live loose.
Yeah, it's also spread out. Like there's no beach. I feel like any place with a beach, or like in the West Coast, it centers you more. Even if you're like in Washington, it like calms you more a little more because it's like the beaches is like if you ever been to like the beach, especially at night, it's like this calming thing because it's like, oh, this thing is so much greater than you. And it's been here so much longer than you, and it makes you feel like a small pebble, but it humbles you a lot. And
Yeah,
like,
because like across the water, there's like other people as well.
Yeah.
Co-living in a completely
in
different
a completely
place.
different place, and then the ocean is so great. Like I remember, like me and my brother, like the last time I went to LA. This was like 8 years ago, but I remember we went to the beach. It was so much fun, and then at night we were driving. We got lost, and we were driving off in Malibu. And like
Oh, so like Highway 1.
Yeah.
That goes along the coast.
yeah,
Oh.
and
that's
we're
nice.
driving Malibu, and we stopped, and we looked, and it was just like pitch black, and we're like, "What is that? The ocean?" And then we went there, and it was the ocean, and it was so weird because like at night, it just like it was this calming sensation because the ocean was so powerful and it was so scary. It was like a dark abyss, and it just like chilled us out. You
Yeah,
know?
because you can't really see the waves at a distance
No.
because they also don't put lights on the beach, but you just hear
You
the
just
crashing
hear
of the
them,
waves.
yeah, and it's just dark. But yeah, here it's like no one was ever supposed to live in Arizona. It's literally the desert, and I feel like because it's so spread out, it's almost like a bunch of little cities plopped up. There's Scottsdale, which is hoity-toity. There's fucking Glendale, which is like blue-collar Trump supporters. There's Chandler, which is like
Family friendly.
exactly family friendly, like
That and
fucking
Gilbert,
Christian. Gilbert, which is very
Oh,
much the
Gilbert
same.
Mormons. Lots of Mormons.
Yep, lots of Mormons, and then Mesa, like old retirees, like my friend's grandparents from Minnesota live there, and then like Phoenix, which is like a mix of everything. You get like South Phoenix, which is a little more rugged. You get downtown Phoenix, which is a little more high class.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say with Phoenix, you definitely get the city crowd, even though
Yeah.
like it's not like a huge city. It is our metro. It is our big city. It is where a lot goes down.
Yeah, that's
so.
where most of the stuff goes down, and yeah, to see it grow so much, it's very interesting. All the developments, even those apartments they built right in downtown, and then they built the Fry's right there, because there was a market for it.
The fry. Wait, are you talking about the Fry's food store? Or?
Yeah, the one that's right across the street from Stand Up Live. It's like
Oh,
on
over there.
Jefferson and like Fifth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Jefferson. Okay,
Yeah,
now I know what you're
I mean,
okay.
they didn't build that till like last year.
Okay.
And
Okay,
it's like
that makes sense.
so many people moved in downtown, so it was like now there's a market for it because there are so many fries around that area. But they're like, oh, let's just have one here.
Yeah, all the new apartment high rises that have opened up because
insane.
there's not as many of just those little plots because obviously Phoenix land's more expensive.
Yeah.
Sure, if you get into like North Phoenix and especially South Phoenix, it'll get a little cheaper, and West Phoenix. South and West Phoenix.
Yo, shout out to South and West Phoenix.
Although for me, if I was looking for cheap property, I'm just because I want to live near their spring training facility, I'll go near the A's thing. So that's like Central and what is it up there? Like Central and I'm trying to, or North Center Street and wherever goes
Yeah, I know
past
where
the
that is,
graveyard.
yeah.
Where it's near a cemetery, so it's like, all right, there's got to be cheap stuff near there.
Oh my god, you're already thinking like, hey, it'd be worth getting haunted, just to get a nice house. I listened to the audiobook of Dave Grohl's. It's called Story. I can bring it up real quick in case anybody wants to.
Oh yeah, stuff you were talking about stories. I'll bring it up after this, but I know in your podcast with DJ you brought up Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers,
Yeah.
and I think the thing I knew you were talking about, but let's see the one you were gonna bring up.
Yeah, let me just bring it up real quick. It's called The Storyteller. It's Dave Grohl's biography. It's and I recommend you listen to the audiobook. It's read by him. It is fucking
perfect.
amazing. He does it so well. And he tells all the stories of like his life, like Nirvana, Foo Fighters, all this stuff. And like one of the things he talks about was like after Nirvana, he had all this money, and so he just went back to Washington after like Kurt died. And he went there and he's like, oh, I want to buy a house. And then he bought like this massive house for like a really good price. It's like this enormous house. And he lives there by himself, this single 20-some-year-old dude. And he said like in the house, he always felt like someone was watching him. Like he'd look over and there'd be nobody there, but he felt like there was someone right behind him. And then he would have friends over for these big parties, and they'd be like, dude, I feel like somebody was watching me. Like I went down the basement, and it would always happen in the basement, And he's like, if I ever had to get something in the basement, I'll just run down there, turn the lights off, for sprint upstairs, and then and he still lived there by himself. And then he said after living there for like a year, he started having dreams of like this old woman. Of like, and she was like wearing like a gown, like she was an old woman, but she was like clearly like from the like 1920s, and she was wearing like a gown. And he would wake up in the dream. He'd be in his bed. He'd wake up and he'd go out in the kitchen, and she'd be staring at him. And then every night he would have a dream like this, where he'd wake up, go out to the patio, and she'd be looking right at him. He's like, what the fuck? And he said he had this dream like every time. And then eventually, this ghost started going upstairs. It wasn't just downstairs. Now it was everywhere where he felt her presence.
And it was the same one.
That's what he felt like. He still had the same dreams, and he still had the same feeling. But he's like, I'm not moving out of this house. So he lived there for like years, which is hilarious. But he's like, hey, it's a great deal,
It's like, all right.
But it was a very interesting. He's leading an interesting life. He has a ton of that. That's just a small piece of the stories that he has there. He's had so many cool stories in the audio, but I recommend everybody listen to it. It's so fucking good.
What was the title of it?
It's called Storytellers by Dave Grohl.
Okay, because that definitely sounds good, especially that he does it himself. I'm willing to do an audiobook if the author does it themselves.
I agree.
Wait, so was his house? Was it like constructed under his idea, or was it already?
No, it was already. It was an old house that was demolished, and then somebody built a new modern house, like a really big modern house, on the site, and then he moved in like a year later, and that was the one that was haunted.
Goddamn haunted, and that was in Washington State.
Yeah, that was in Washington State before he moved to LA.
Okay, that's the. Interesting. The only haunted story I know from like near Ryan was like a Winchester house, and I guess it's that lady, which the guns are named after the Winchester when her husband
Not the
died.
Winchester brothers? No, I'm kidding.
No, but it's like when she died, I guess she just had this house, kept having it built and stuff, and she said it was like so many rooms, and it was haunted by the people who had been killed with the Winchester gun or something like that.
Oh my
and
God.
They kept building it up until when she died, I guess.
Yeah.
Just some weird shit.
I think about that, like how like ghosts in every story. There's always somebody that was like wronged. It's always like somebody that was like murdered, or like a kid that was like kidnapped and then thrown into a fucking river and he drowned. Like it's always something like that. It's never like someone who's like happy. And then it's also like ghosts kind of annoy me if they are real because I don't want them to be real. Because when I die, I just want to be dead. Like let me have peace. Like why I still need to have consciousness and not have fun and just annoy people all day. Like come on, for eternity? What are we doing here? Can the sun explode? Because I don't want this.
Yeah, it's like if you're entrapped, you can't interact with anything. You're just entrapped as like
and maybe it's because I talked about DJ. Maybe it's because like I am sober pretty much all the time. That like sometimes I was like I need a break. Like if when I die, I want to be dead. I don't want to fucking have to like be thinking about things. And it's even worse because there's no chores, so you can't eat, you can't sleep. If you watch movies with someone else, you can't talk to them and have them talk to you back. So it's like, what the fuck?
You get no pleasure from masturbating. What's the purpose of being a ghost
exactly,
at that point?
Exactly. And it seems to be only a select few become ghosts. So what happens to the rest then? If ghosts are real.
Purgatory.
Yo, purgatory's open mics, all right? We're living it, buddy.
It's the society we live in.
Yeah. Purgatory is fucking going to ASU and not getting pussy till super late into your college career. Yo, did you ever go to ASU parties?
Some more so early on because I was living closer to campus, but then when I went away during like junior and senior year, but then also junior and senior, that's when I was experimenting more on the hallucinogens and stuff. So it's not like I wasn't having a fun time.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a fun time.
But somewhat freshman year, a little bit more sophomore year because of where we was. It was at the time it was. Whatever on university now it's like Seoul, but I gotta remember it was whatever the hell it was called. They keep changing their names because someone probably dies at them and they gotta break.
They gotta haunt them again.
They have to. Well, no one died when I was there, but I remember during winter break someone lit one of the couches in the courtyard on fire. So
dude,
I remember
it got intense. It got intense. I used to work at Mill Ave, and I worked for this sandwich shop. And I would start my shift at 8 p.m. and I'd go home at like 5 in the morning. It was fucking worse. And we'd be the only place open after fucking all the bars closed. Like Fat Tuesdays at 2. No, it was. I'm not going to say the place because fuck them. I'm not giving them free advertising. They fucking suck. But I remember like one of the weeks I was working there was always like freshmen that got too lit too early. Like they didn't know their tolerance. They were living with mommy and daddy forever. And then literally first weekend shit would happen. I remember one weekend this like tiny girl was getting pushed out of the stretcher. Like this ambulance came and they brought her, they pushed her out of the stretcher. And this restaurant I worked at, all the doors are glass. So you could just all the walls are glass. So you just see the alley and you see him taking her out. And we're like, what the and then somebody came in and they're like, yeah, it was her first week and she drank a little too much and had to get like her stomach pumped and it was bad and she like cut herself and by accident because she fell. It's like all this thing and it was hilarious. I was like, what the fuck?
Typical white girl stuff. God damn.
How'd you know it was a white girl?
Well, because I'm just thinking it's the first time away from family.
Yeah, it's always.
It's like because there's no way the black or Latino woman would get in that situation.
No.
And the Asian woman wouldn't leave her place in that evening.
That has to be, like we talked about earlier, like when I mentioned Cancun, I think it has to be like a white woman almost defect and evolution where like they just don't think about like the things that could go wrong.
Behavioral traits.
Yeah, behavioral traits. Or maybe it's the way they grew up because I feel like white women who grew up in like a trailer park will be more weary of like drinking too much or getting in a weird situation. But like if you were like pampered, you're like, oh, I can do whatever I want. Like that's what happens. That's how my life is.
I have dad to bail me out.
Daddy always bails me out. He loves me. I'm his favorite. And so yeah.
Crash the Lamborghini or whatever car they borrow of his, the Tesla.
Dude, that was the worst. I remember when I moved here, like FOMO. Like when I first moved here, I delivered pizzas when I was 19. Yeah, when I was 19, I moved when I was 19, and I was taking some time off from school because I was like, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't. I knew if I stayed in Minnesota for another year and like went to college there, I knew I would never move out to LA. And my dream was to move out to LA and become like a screenwriter and like write for comedy television shows, like The Office and 30 Rock. And I was like, if I stay here, I will never pursue that dream. And I was taking a year off here, and I took a couple of years off, but I was taking the time off. I was just delivering pizzas part time, like 35 hours a week, and a lot of the times it was night. And I remember I had to deliver like near like Arcadia and like Paradise Valley and like all those really fancy houses. Sometimes Scottsdale, but usually it was like in the Phoenix area, like past Camelback, like 44th Street. And I remember every weekend I delivered to like these incredibly wealthy kids that had like sick cars. And well, this would happen every week. Like their parents would like leave for a weekend, give them a credit card, be like, hey, order whatever you want. I don't give a shit. And then they would just like get booze and throw a huge rager. And I remember feeling so much FOMO because I was like, I'm fucking delivering pizzas for $7.75 an hour right now. Actually, it's $4.75 because $3 on a minimum wage when you're on the road.
Did they look like high school kids or college kids?
They were high school kids.
Oh
So they were like near my age, if not my age. Or, I was 19, so I was a little older than some.
Well, in high school, I did like late with the partying. I want to say it was like once my junior, once my senior year, I went to a party. That was it.
Yeah, but I just remember being like, and even though again I didn't even party, but I was like, I remember just being like, God, I feel like I'm having so much fun. I'm fucking working. But
do it for the long term success, because sometimes you got to get that early speed bump out of the way. Because I had that with my professional career, like when I wanted to do work in sports. Because I remember my first thing, my freshman year, was an internship spring training at Peoria Sports Complex. And I was the only one who didn't have a car. So I had to take the light rail and then 2 buses.
That was
and
the
each
worst.
one was an hour.
Public transportation is the worst thing. Like, it's necessary, but having to use it is the worst thing. You're around the worst possible people. It's a homeless meth addict right here, and then right in front of you is a schizophrenic person.
Yeah, what's bad is when there's only one option to go. Like if you at least have either the bus or the light rail, I can see that. But when it's only
the
one
light
to
rail
go
is
each
still
way,
way better than the bus. That was like, because I took light rail a lot to go to Tempe and when I was going to ASU, but like the buses, that was terrible. When I took 2 buses to go to a 5-minute open mic and only 2 comics would show up because it was football Sunday during the pandemic, and I was like, fuck, this sucks.
Of course, that's why they have the Do Better comedy has their show during that time. Because they know their crowd's not going to come out during football, or it's going to come out during football.
I wouldn't know. I just know they're not a fan of me. That's all I know about them.
They're not a fan of a lot of us.
They're not a fan of a lot of you guys.
But how I knew I hit the low point was, so I had to do mostly weekends because I couldn't do it during the week because I didn't have the car. But because of spring break, I was still there. It's like, all right, I do it each day of spring break. And the one day I was late, it was because some guy on the bus passed out drinking a tall boy, and they had to get the police to come get him and wait for a new bus.
Yeah.
So, I was late for that, and I realized this is my low point in my career, so everything is only upwards.
Oh, that's fucking beautiful.
Yes.
It's like having to fucking suffer through that. But, I mean, it's a part of it. It's kind of like open mics, like having to suffer through open mics and, like, navigating through different audiences and, like, seeing if your shit fits,
Yeah, because I think the goal, with comedy, is not to do open mics all the time.
Yeah,
like you want to need to do it sometimes.
The goal is eventually to get to a point where if you're at a big place, you're past at a club, or you're doing enough feature weekends where you're doing 20, 25 minutes where you can work out a bunch of new shit, 5 shows in a week, and you have all these minutes to work on it. And then, eventually headline. Yeah, that's the end goal. But yeah, the open mic's like the shitty boot camp. And like, I was thinking about how like, I heard on a friend's podcast recently, he took a dig at me at the end when they were talking about Woodshed and how some comics would go to Woodshed and like try and do smart jokes. And they're like, oh, Chudier. It's like, bro, I'm doing the jokes I like to do. That's the thing. Like, I'm not trying to change my style because this crowd drinks beer or because it's in Chandler. Like, I'm giving you the same jokes everywhere I go. It doesn't matter if you're black or you're white. Like, as soon as you start shifting the jokes you do, then it just degrades your voice. You're not going to find your voice as quickly. You're not going to
be able to know what is that best way to deliver it.
Also, that's what I find funny. Like, it's not me trying to be pretentious or smart, because most people that are trying to be pretentious or smart, there's no point to their joke.
Yeah, you're not like trying to convince people.
Yeah, I'm not like, hey, homeless people, man, we got to do something about the homeless. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm not trying to make a point. I think this is funny. Let me say it. That's what it is. It's not like me pushing that out. So yeah, that kind of annoyed me because I know that's not what I'm conveying, and so it's just like, hey assholes, don't take digs at your boy. Don't take digs at one of the world's top young rising comedians, Chudier. All right.
Yeah, because it's not like you're trying to be the intellect, like, oh, you should. I am the voice of this generation.
No.
but you're
Not
just.
at all.
It's more like when I hear your bits, it's something like it's like a slow burn. Like you realize at the end the cleverness at the end. It's like,
Yeah,
that's why.
because it's so dry. But it's like, yeah, I'm not like. I also, I'm not going to change it. Like, if I'm at a bar, I will do. But that's the thing. It is a heel because when you do certain kinds of jokes, sometimes they don't work at certain places all the time. You know, like because it's slow and methodical sometimes, and because it's like you have to think about what I'm saying before you hear the misdirect. Then they're like, we're not paying attention, and then I'm just fucking bombing, just eating it on stage, you know. So yeah, it's all different. That's why it depends on the audience. Like, I remember one time we did a show at this bar. It was a horrible bar show. Everyone bombed pretty much. Andrew Oriana went before me. He was doing kind of shitty, and then he just started doing crowd work and like his self-deprecating thing, and they loved him. He turned it around. It was beautiful. And then I went up and I tried doing jokes. Was not working. I was bombing horribly. I started saying "fuck you, yes," and then there's this one Mexican lady talking really loud, and I just started roasting her and like her boyfriend who wasn't there. And then that worked, and then I tried going back to jokes, and they were just like, "No, we're not having it." And I was like, "Fuck, bro." But I remember like thinking like sometimes like when there's a certain audience, like I know certain comics would do well. Like if there's like a rowdy drunk audience, like I know like Andrew will do well, like Oriana, because it's like the frat boy, the self-deprecating shit. And then I know like Decimito can do well too. He's another one where it's like, and Decimito's funny comic, but like certain crowds, like a rowdy drunk crowd, I mean he'll fucking light that shit on fire.
Yeah, just because they're willing to say that raunchy, or would you say Josh Harrison too?
That's
probably.
more, yeah, Josh Harrison too. Probably, yeah. That's more of their vibe. It's like certain audiences. It's like high energy, wild shit, fucking yeah, that kind of stuff. Self-deprecating. It's like yeah, they'll love that. And the other audiences, and then those same audiences will hate if you're like if you have a joke that's like a little too wordy, and which I understand. Like I don't do wordy jokes. Like even certain bits like.
Okay, because yours are one-liners.
Yeah.
I know me, I have to cut down on very wordy
and some are
jokes.
longer than one-liners, but they're still like I classify one-liners. It's just a setup punch. Like that's the thing. It could be like Jessica, he does one-liners, and his are like a paragraph, but there's no tags. It's just setup punch. So it's like yeah, some are a little longer, but like and so some of my bits like. I do try and shorten them as much as possible because some bits I always have to explain like the premise, and that's very scary sometimes because like I don't want to ramble. I'm trying to get like how can I explain this premise in as few words as fucking possible because it's like a 3-sentence premise before I say the punchline, you know.
And if you had to like do an explainer for someone who's a layman, obviously it's like, oh, if you don't get what this is, like, I know I've made it once when I've worn my Sharks jersey before. It's like, for people that don't know hockey, this team is a total cock tease. So they are ruining my life.
Yo, shout out to the Oakland A's. But what was that?
They also like to get at my heartstrings. It's also when I say
what about Billy Bats or Billy whatever
Billy Bean.
Billy Bean,
yes.
Yeah.
Freaking Darren.
That still doesn't sound like a real name. You know that,
no,
Karl?
It is. Well, Darren Feinsilver keeps trying to link it to the other Billy Bean, which he's an MLB executive, but he's not the Billy Bean I like. And the Billy Bean he's linking to is actually gay.
Oh, it's his favorite Billy Bean then.
Yeah, it's his favorite Billy Bean, not my favorite Billy Bean. My favorite Billy Bean got a scholarship offer from Stanford to play football.
Oh wow!
But he turned it down.
Why?
Because he got a big contract offer from the New York Mets at the time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then he learned from that because he was a total bust.
He was a bust, yeah. Well, also, I feel like for me to be like a college athlete in like a big school that loves a sport, I feel like it'd be fun just to do it, even for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Just the experience.
Exactly, just the experience. Like if I could play basketball for like Duke for a year, it's like yeah, that'd be great. Or even like ASU or like UCLA or like football or something, and not be like a integral position. I mean, quarterback is obviously like the chillest position. I'm obviously the most pressure.
Well, you'd be a tight end just because of height wise.
Yeah. Well, I would try and be like a punter.
Oh, you'd be.
I try and be a punter. I'm not doing real work. What are you talking about? Give me a scholarship and let me kick a football. That's all.
How about the long snapper then?
No, because I still have to block. I'm not doing that. Fucking to the box, I'm sweaty 300-pound black guy. No,
They don't really put up a block. They just kind of like stand there and try to.
But
like,
they
get
have
in the
to.
way.
They have to at least, And I don't even think I'm big enough. I'm like 250. Like a long snapper, they're usually like 280 up.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, well, I guess I said the long snapper just because they're only when you have
Yeah,
to. Like,
I know. Because a lot of those like O line or like DNs, they're like 300 plus pounds, like 325, and like strong as fuck.
oh yeah, the ends. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to be like the center position. Like the center, that guy's probably pretty big. But with the thing is also with the punter, usually they're also the place kicker, so they got to take the ball for the field goal and place it down really quickly.
Yeah, that's
and you don't want to do that extra work, do you?
Who knows? Depends on how much they pay me. No, that would be cool. I've always been the guy that I was like, oh yeah, I'd love like the easy position, but still get most of the reward. I don't know. Maybe that's me. I played goalie and midfield in high school when I played soccer.
You're not trying to make it a difficult, a hard work. You're trying to get it good work.
Exactly. Yeah, like being a defender. Like I played defender a few times, and our coach chose our positions, which sucked because I wanted to be a defender because it was not easy, but it required less work than a midfield. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't need to do the whole midfield. Yeah, you're talking about with like soccer.
Yes.
Yeah, because midfield you have to create. You're going to move the most because you're right in the middle.
Yeah.
Whereas defense, you sit back. You're really just trying to box out the people on offense.
Yeah, and keep the ball out of the goalpost or the goal.
The box. Yeah.
And so like that was the best. And like if the team was really good, we were really tired, but it was still like I felt like this is great. But like midfield, I was just running, bro.
Yeah,
it was just so much back and forth. I rarely touched the ball sometimes. Depending on how much we were running, because I was just so tired. I was like, geez, like I need a break. And it'd be sprinting running. It wasn't like jogging, like sprinting back and forth.
Especially if you were on like the flanks on the outer ends, because you're expected to run on those.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I was. And like dudes, it was high school soccer. Like we were good, but like sometimes dudes were just reckless, so they would just like launch the ball overhead and they just send it. So they'd be just sending it back and forth. And I'm just like, I'm so tired. I just sprinted fucking 30 yards that way, and I got to sprint. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck
punter,
that.
punter all the way. Punter all the way. Call me the punter. Yeah, but I feel like that would be fun. Even if you do it for a year. I mean, that's why like so many basketball players do it for a year because they have to before they go pro, but also, I mean, if they don't want to play in like the D League or overseas.
But now they're trying to keep players in college sports longer with the NIL deals.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, because they understand it's a business.
Yeah. Well, I think it's it's like a bad image if they just keep seeing one and dones, and then with NFL, it's like 2 years and done and 2 years and done.
And they have to, and that's because it's the rule,
Yeah.
But
Now, baseball and hockey, you could be drafted out of high school.
Yeah.
But obviously, they have more of a minor leagues that takes a while to.
Well, also the college circuit does not generate the revenue. Like UT Austin makes over $200 million a year on their football program.
Oh, I can't believe that.
And like same thing with Ohio State makes like over $200 million as well. So it's like Texas A&M is another one. So it's like, and most schools it's like football, basketball. That's like the premium program. And depending on the conference too, like they'll make way more money. Like depending if they're Pac-12, if they're
the Power 5,
the Big 10, the Big 12, the fucking SEC. So it's like there are all these big conferences, big schools that their basketball and football teams generate so much money. And so like with hockey and baseball, it's not even close to as much. Are you kidding me? Like the football, the basketball are the ones supplementing all the other sports. They're the ones making up for it.
They bring in that ticket revenue. And broadcast as well. Because who's really going to want to see the broadcast for water polo? I mean, it could be interesting, but
nobody. And they don't have these big drafts like the football, the NFL draft and the NBA draft are legit events that people watch every year. If they go to like parties, and this is a big thing. They don't do that for hockey or the MLB. MLB is obviously a lot of
MLB.
People
it's
they
the
draft.
amount of rounds.
It's the amount of rounds. There's so many. And then hockey, people don't give a shit about hockey. Let's be real, all right? It's somewhat exciting, but for the most part, it's like it's not growing in popularity.
It's kind of stagnated, although that's why now they have the rights to on ESPN to NHL. A lot of NHL games, they're trying to expand the audience out
that's
a lot
good.
with that.
And maybe I'm biased because I fucking hate on hockey. Because when I was 10, I tried to join hockey, and then because we would play. I went to like a really nice elementary school when I was 5th grade. My family moved, and it was one of those elementary schools it's public, but it was in a nice tax bracket. So it got all this funding.
It actually got fully funded.
Yeah, it was a beautiful elementary school. It got funding, and so during the spring, our gym teacher would let us play street hockey in the parking lot, and they had rollerblades. So like the rollerblades had like sticks, had like all the equipment, and so all my friends, because it was pretty much only all white school, they all played hockey. And I knew how to rollerblade because my family would, like, me and my siblings would rollerblade all the time. And so I was, like, really good at rollerblading. And hockey, I mean, it was just like you get a tennis ball and you get into the goal. And I remember, because I was way faster at rollerblading than everybody, I would just blow past all the defenders and then just score a lot. And then my buddy Bryce was like, hey, man, he was a horrible athlete, but he was a hockey player. And he goes, hey, you should join hockey. And I go, yeah, but I'm not an ice skate. They go, oh, yeah, they can teach you. And I go, where did I sign up? He's like, here you go, sign up here. And I went, and I got all the forms. And then I went home. Oh, yeah, and then they told me, like, the equipment and, like, how much it costs. And I was like, so I'm going to have to get, like, $1,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah.
And then the fee for, like, to rent out the rink for a season was, like, $500 per student. And then I have to pay a fee to join the hockey team. I was like, my mom makes $30,000. Like I was cognizant at 10 years old. My mom makes $30,000 a year. She works at a meat factory, bro. You think she's gonna get a certain percentage of her salary, of her yearly earnings, so I could skate around and be bad at hockey for a little bit before I get good? And then I was like, I can't. Fucking, my dad's not a dentist. I can't do this. Like the barometer was so high, and it was like, yeah.
Yeah, the pay to play.
Yeah, the pay to play. It's like Daniel talks about a funny joke. He's like, I hate the Winter Olympics because all it is which country has the most rich white kids. He's like, how much does it cost to go skiing? $900 a day. He's like, how is it not more popular in the inner cities? I was like, yeah. Also, the caliber of athletes. Like, I always played sports all throughout middle school, high school, elementary school, and like the hockey players were the worst athletes. They were horrendous. Like I remember me and my brother talking about hockey players and a lot of wrestlers too. They were legit the worst athletes you've ever seen. They were horrible at everything, even hockey too. So it's like that also bothers me. I was like, how are you this confident in your athletic prowess? It's like you play a sport with no competition. Like that's why you think you're the shit. Because if we play any other sport during gym, you get washed by all the other athletes.
Yeah, I was going to say, so like other sports is what you're saying, or just general athleticism they don't have much of. Like
yeah,
the hockey
players don't. And then also the pool of talent is so low because there is this financial bar, and that's part of the reason why even baseball is becoming less popular because there's more like red tape when it comes to like joining summer leagues and stuff.
All I can say for wrestlers is I think a lot of wrestlers, just because I did it myself, have good conditioning. What we don't have great of is hand-eye coordination. That's where it gets fucked up.
My brother was a wrestler. He was a high school wrestler. I mean, he wrestled middle school. Like he wrestled for a long time, and he said that. And he's like one of those guys. He's like a freak athlete. So like with him, his barometer for like what's athletic is way different because like he could dunk at like 5'10", and he's like 6'2" now. And like he was one of those guys that was just a freak athlete. He was very fast. He was very strong. He was very quick. Even though he was like a smaller guy.
He was built.
No, he's not even built like me. He's built like James Linder Barnett.
Oh
yeah, which is very unassuming, but he's a freak athlete. Yeah.
Okay, so he's the skinny boy type.
Yeah, skinny and tall.
Exactly. Well, I guess with the wrestler things is it depends what weight category you're in because you could be a stubby little fat guy and be having to pace people much bigger.
Yeah, with him and with him, he wrestled like 103 in high school, so he's like 5.
Oh, damn.
So he's like 5'10" and like 103, so he's like way bigger than like as far as height wise, and he's like all limbs, like a lot of East Africans, like especially like South Sudanese. So it's like super long arms and long legs, so it's like that helps you.
Yeah, I was like only between 5'6" and 5'8", and I was only between like 120 and 150.
Exactly.
That's like, jeez.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my goodness.
I'm pretty sure my brother weighs as much as Tristan Bowen, but he's a much better athlete, I'm sure.
That's like how my best friend, who's a Sikh Indian, he was taller than his girlfriend, like even taller than me.
Yeah.
He was like 6 feet, but he weighed 10 pounds less than her.
I would have seen that. It's always fascinating when I see it. Like, I remember one time I went to this AMC movie theater and I saw this super hot blonde. She was probably like 5'10", and her boyfriend was like the same height, but he was clearly way smaller than her, like weight wise. So she wasn't even fat, but he was way smaller than her, and she like hugged him like from behind and straight manhandled him, and it was hilarious. I just could not stop laughing because she manhandled him so easily. I was like, oh my god.
It's reminding me of Norbit,
What?
the movie.
Oh yeah, I know what the movie. Yo, how are more guys not afraid to date girls that are bigger than them?
I remember seeing something once at a Bed Bath and Beyond. It looked like this big black lady who had just came from church because it was like all red and like one of those outfits that you expect.
You mean Avery? No, okay.
Maybe it was Avery at the time.
I'm kidding. I love Avery. We're
it was
cool.
like with this. It was the line checkout line at Bed Bath and Beyond, and it was like this. He was like nicely dressed, like in a polo, khakis. This like white guy, kind of frail, just like and she was doing all the talking with the person at the register. It's like she definitely controls everything. What goes on?
Oh my
with
god!
You could just tell.
You're like, I see who wears the pants in this family.
I want to say I was only like 8 or 9 years old when I saw this.
Oh my god, that is horrible. And you even knew then. You even knew that.
Then I knew then what I wanted.
What you're like, yes, please, Thundera, make me your slave. Oh my god.
Please, Yolanda, hit me on the other side of the head.
I'm fucking conflicted because, like, obviously, like, I love like all size women. I like short women. I like tall women. And
I like closer to my size, if that's a way to put it.
Yeah. And how tall are you?
About 6'1", nothing really more than that.
Okay, that's still that's big, but I'm conflicted because I like tall girls, I like short girls, but like with tall girls, it's like, dude, we could make a super baby. Like I want to make a 6'8" son, but then also I'm like, if I date like a 6'1", like 180-pound volleyball player, and like I piss her off or something. And like I'm feeling a little sick, like my tummy hurts, like I'm in bed all day, and like I don't wash the dishes again, and I was like, quit being bitchy, and she just starts teeing off on me. I'm like, fuck, I might lose that fight, or like she catches me on an off day, you know? That's what I'm scared of. That's like what I fear. Which, you know, how about I just date a 6-foot chick that's not a sociopath? You know, I could just do that.
You have the opposite fear as me. I want to date a woman who's a professional fighter.
Oh my god, no! I could.
No one could accuse me of domestic violence.
You know,
How can I be accused of domestic? I could never be accused of domestic violence.
You know what's his name? Rob Maybe. He used to be married to an MMA fighter. She's a professional MMA fighter.
Oh damn!
I think she fought for the UFC too. I remember him telling me about it. He told me a lot about her. But that was I believe his ex-wife. Yeah.
Ronda Rousey.
No, it wasn't Ronda Rousey. That'd be hilarious. No, that's Brendan Schaub for you. Ronda Rousey, let's be real. She wasn't really hot. All right, there's hotter.
Well, relative to the competition.
Yes, for an MMA fighter. But as far as like regular hot chicks, like Paige Van Zandt, she's hot. Fucking,
she's in bare knuckle fighting now.
Oh, beautiful. That Osterich chick is super hot.
Oh, Rachel. Well, she got released recently.
Yeah, but both of them are hot just for normal women. They would be hot.
I like the Brazilian woman, like Amanda Ribas. It's like that gets me go. Amanda Ribas.
Who's that?
Oh, she's a Brazilian UFC fighter.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you later. Perfect.
Okay.
I'll put in a link in the comics. Amanda Ribas.
You showed me a picture of Amanda Nunez.
No, it's not Amanda Nunez. No.
Some fucking mullet, Michael Jackson looking chick.
Oh no, this ain't no mullet Michael Jackson shit.
Hey, can we pause? I have to go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
I've been drinking too much goddamn water.
That means you're hydrated.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta stay hydrated, you know what I mean? Dude, there was so many episodes of Coconut Text where we had to pause, and then I pressed record, but you had to press it twice. So then we'd start talking and it wasn't recording, but you could still hear yourself, so like, yeah. There you go. It's working, right?
Yeah, well, we got a new record on.
Yeah, beautiful.
And this
All
is
right,
who
we are
Amanda
back.
Hebos is, so you can understand.
Yeah, she's a cutie.
There's also Macy
I feel
Barber
like-
and Alexa Grasso. Those are the other ones.
I feel like she kind of looks like a comic. I don't know. Carl's future wife comic? No.
Nah,
Yo, could you date a comedian?
probably yes, but I like one that probably has a criminal record on her.
What? Why?
I gotta know she's able to discipline the kids, all right?
Oh my god! You are
Exactly.
ridiculous. She starts fucking pile driving the kids and like working out bits with them. So, I was doing one about your father having a tiny dick, right?
Or Alexa Grasso. Well, it's more about
I've seen
making
it
sure they're all disciplined and shit. Because, hey, they gotta know not to be annoying out in public.
Why can't you discipline your kids?
Because it's not within my people's culture to discipline
Oh
them in
my
situations.
god, you are ridiculous.
Well, unless we get really white trash, unless we're living in a trailer park, then sure, I'll do
Let me
it.
guess, you'll handle the finances of the house.
I'll definitely handle the finances.
You'll handle the negotiating of buying the house and purchasing cars. Yeah.
Exactly. And here's the last one, Macy Barber.
Oh, she's cute. She kind of reminds me of you know who's a hottie? What's her name? Fucking. She actually lives out here, I think. What's her name? She's a jiu-jitsu player.
Tracy Cortez.
No, not Tracy.
Wait,
Cortez.
not Tracy Cortez.
Fucking, she's a jiu-jitsu player who just started MMA not that long ago, a couple of years ago. Fucking, her dad's Brazilian. Fucking Mackenzie Dern.
Oh, Mackenzie Dern.
Mackenzie Dern. Yeah, she kind of looks like her.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Shit.
So you're going for these alpha women.
Yeah, well, because it's like that bit I have. No one can rationally accuse me of domestic violence against them.
Oh my
And
god.
hey, I don't have to do anything if someone
Yeah.
steals their purse or breaks into the residence.
Yo, aren't you worried about a la Joe Rogan, a good Joe Rogan quote? Aren't you worried about her leaving the house to fuck real men?
Were you talking about 1 second fight?
No, when he was talking about Serena Williams' husband. How like her husband is a co-founder of Reddit.
Oh yeah.
And
He's a really scrawny
and
guy.
he's like, doesn't she want some? No, he's like 6'4", but he's just like a nerd. He created Reddit, and he's like, doesn't she want some real dick? Like, is she gonna fuck some real athletes on the side?
I think she likes that rich dick.
Well, she's also made over $100 million. She's
well,
rich as fuck.
sometimes you're attracted to more money.
Maybe if he even has more money. I don't know if he does.
It's like why the owner of the LA Rams, Stan Kroenke, married into the Walton family, the Walmart family.
The Walmart family.
Yeah.
He would. What a fucking weirdo. I mean, marriages used to be more fucking financial. I mean, marriages when they first started, like
They were arranged. When are we bring back arranged marriages?
Not only were they arranged, but like sometimes you forget to realize that marriages were invented like flip flops. Like one day they weren't there, and the next day someone's like, "We should get them," and that's what it was. Like I remember, like growing up, obviously religious. Like I'm an atheist now, but growing up Christian, I remember like a big thing was like you can't have sex till marriage. You gotta wait, save the date, wait till marriage, and then like however many years ago, I was like, wait a second. How retarded is that? We've been fucking because I was like learning about evolution and everything and anthropology. It's like we've been fucking for hundreds of thousands of years without a piece of paper, without a ceremony. That's how we all got here.
But Chudier, God doesn't want you to have sex outside of marriage.
Right? I was like, and as a kid, I didn't even realize that. I didn't even think, and that's American education because they never taught us evolution. I didn't learn evolution till I went to college and I had to like learn about it on my own. And then I took one anthropology class and I learned more about it. So that's how crazy our shitty education is.
I'm trying to remember. I think they told us evolution around like 5th or 6th grade is when they start. Either that or when we went into junior high.
That's good teaching because they would not tell. They would just be like, "There's evolution and there's creationism," and that's it. That's the whole fucking gamut right there. They wouldn't go into detail.
Well, put it this way.
But if someone had told me that, I would have been like, that would have just completely broke the logic of like waiting for marriage. I was like, oh yeah, like marriage is great like flip flops. Like, why am I waiting till marriage?
Yeah, no problem. Well, yeah, if you're in that mindset. You said you were the town of Minnesota. It's like obviously most of the kids were white, so you were technically the minority. Most of the kids in my city were Asian, so I was technically the minority.
Oh my god! Yeah, I heard about that. Schultz talked about that too when he went to New York. I was like, "Yeah, you're the only non-Asian." And then all your friends are getting into like Harvard and Stanford, and you're like, "I think I might go to Arizona State." They actually call the Harvard of the Southwest. You know, I might.
It's like I'm going to UC Santa Barbara. Yeah. I'm getting into UC Santa Cruz. I'm going into San Diego State.
Yeah, I'm going to San Diego State, and you're like, ASU maybe?
Arizona State. Hell yeah.
I was like, I got into Berkeley early in Mich. What'd you get into? Oh, Arizona State.
Yeah, there were ones from our kids that went to Michigan. There were ones that went to Columbia, Harvard, Stanford. And then we had a bunch that went to Berkeley.
Yeah. Well, it's the same area. I mean, it makes sense. Also, a lot of Asian kids.
Their parents tell them.
Your parents tell them, go.
You are going to Harvard. It's like when I saw Jeremy Lin on 60 Minutes because he was explaining how he got an offer from Stanford who was in his same hometown, but his parents, when they were going, like, we think it's best if he go to Harvard.
Yeah. Chinese immigrant parents, of course.
It's like you're not really getting away from the stereotypes here, Jeremy.
Yeah, I know.
Your parents are perpetuating them, telling them, no, you have to listen to our choice. You are living our life.
That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But like seeing all the different like Asian Indian kids, all it taught me, there's a wide range. There's the really strong ones. There's the really smart ones. There's also really small ones and really stupid ones. And I'm just talking. And I'm not talking stupid like they're not an AP student. I'm talking about stupid as
like
they are.
Retarded. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you learn from just being around other groups. Is like you humanize them. They're like normal. That's why, like New York, the racism there, it's like I got to see you every fucking day. I can't afford to be racist over here. You know, a lot of racism comes from being separated. Like racist white kids, like when you meet them in college, like they grew up in like strictly conservative households in very white communities, almost exclusively white for 18 years, and so it's like they didn't get
to interact with other people, so they didn't get to see that there's crazy people and sane people.
Yeah, because my town, because some people just think all Asians are like intelligent, and obviously there are plenty of intelligent Asians, but there are a bunch of stupid fucking Asians. There are a bunch of gangster Asians. There's a bunch of cool swag Asians who are rappers, you know. And I remember like my town, like my family moved there when I was like right before high school, and it's called Worthington, Minnesota. It's a very diverse town, surprisingly. The rest of Minnesota very white, but this town very diverse because. There's like a meat packing factory called JBS, and that's where all the immigrants work. And so
bean sausage.
It's pork.
Pork.
So
okay.
It's like they ship in the hogs, they kill them, they go through all the stages in this factory, and so it brings in a lot of immigrants from Mexico, from Guatemala, from Burma, from Vietnam, from Laos, from literally everywhere, all over West and East Africa, from Central America, El Salvador. Honduras. And so I grew up in this high school with all these other cultures, and all the kids that grow up there, white, black, whatever, they just grow up in like a melting pot of like culture in their high schools. And so to them, it's not like weird to like meet people from other cultures, or to learn that, oh, there are dumb Asians, or there are incredibly smart black people, or, you know, whatnot.
Did you have an international week at your school?
No, we didn't.
Oh, you didn't? No. Ours was international.
No, we just had ESL, which I was one of the, what do you call it? I was a teacher's assistant, ESL my senior year. That was fun. No, ESL was actually cool because I did a lot of ESL when I was growing up. And it wasn't because like I needed it. It's just because I wasn't born here. So they just assumed that I had trouble with English. I was like, dude, I'm reading Harry Potter in the 3rd grade. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I was going to say they probably just did it as like an automatic, but then realized, oh, he already has a basic level.
Yeah, they did that for me. My sister was in 7th grade. She was in 8th grade. I was in 7th grade. And after that, they're like, you guys don't fucking need it. Because it was literally like they'd give us a packet, and then they would say, work on this. And it was like a 3rd grade packet. And it would be like, okay, what's the difference between they, apostrophe R-E, T-H-E-I-R, and there as in T-H-E-R-E. What's the difference between those three? And I'd be like, well, and I'd just write it down. And then I'd finish in 10 minutes. I'd be like, oh, I'm done. And they'd be like, that's supposed to take the whole class. So I was like, this is 3rd grade work. And then they were like, all right, this guy should not be here. Because the other students who had just come to America like a year before were like, I'm having a lot of trouble with they and they are there, and
yeah, they don't know what's going on.
No, they're still learning English, and I always gave props to them. Like, it was great, but like, yeah, the vetting process for ESL was like very basic, but I always loved it because I would meet kids from other cultures. I meet other African kids. That's another thing. Like, people think Africa is just one continent.
Oh, there's a
but
bunch of.
I mean, people think it's one
countries
country, but it's a continent with plenty of countries.
Isn't it like one of the largest continents just by size?
It is the largest, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if
'Cause I
you
was
show
gonna say.
if you Google it, fit all the continents, you can fit all of them in Africa. Like it'll show a map.
The amount
it'll
of space.
Yeah, with the amount of space, it's the largest. It's also the oldest. That's where everyone comes from. So it's like it's all these ancient languages. So that's why there's like over 1,200, over 1,400 confirmed languages.
Yeah, civilization has like the earliest roots there.
The earliest tribes there. And so like people think it's just one country, but it's like no, there's all different kinds of parts, and there's different groups. Like people would be like, oh yeah, Nubian. It's like, well, that's not West Africa. That's East Africa. Central and West Africa is one part, and then there's southern part, and then like there's so many different. And then there's North Africa, which is Arab, which is predominantly. There's a lot of Arab countries there.
Like Algeria, Morocco, Mali, Egypt.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we were saying International Week. My school, it was practically just Asian countries.
It was like
India,
Korean, Japanese, Chinese, and India,
Vietnamese, Afghanistan, India, and France. But France, it would be like all Asian kids. And
oh my god, that's hilarious! Yo, the first time I found out about an Asian French person, I obviously
in Mexico,
obviously there are Asian
that.
French people, but I didn't even think about it until I was watching porn once, and there's this Asian French star. I forgot what her name was. She's super hot. I think she's Vietnamese, but she's super hot, amazing body, and she was super French. I was like, oh yeah, there would be Asian immigrants in France. Like there are other immigrants from other countries that grew up in France, so it's like, yeah, why wouldn't there be? I grew up in America,
Is the porn star? Is it just one name or two names? Because there's two I can think of, but one of them has like two names in her name, and the other just has one in her stage name.
No, it's two names.
Okay,
I mean, there
names.
are plenty of Asian porn stars,
but with the French talking. It's
it's two names. Yeah.
Okay, I think I've narrowed it down.
Okay,
possibly,
beautiful.
I could be wrong.
Yo, how many dudes have dreams of being porn stars?
A fair amount.
I bet so too, right?
Well, what I heard, it's good for like the safest way to live out your sexual fantasies. It just becomes an actual job because every other week you got to get tested.
You have to get tested, and then there's also a bunch of dudes. There's lights, there's action. They're waiting on you. Like, I mean, the real talent is a woman, but you're the other part. And if you can't perform, you can't get hard in this cold fucking LA house
in front of all these other
and there's
people.
A guy with a camera and a mic right by your dick, and you can't perform, and they have to come on command. Like, there's all these things that mentally fuck with you,
You got to be able to come in front of a whole set.
Yeah, into a whole group of men, and then sometimes they have to. I mean, obviously you do what you want to do, but what if you have to do like a gangbang? Like
you have to have like 8 other guys around you.
Yeah. Like, circle jerk is the weirdest, but yeah, you have to do all these things. But I feel like now, like porn is like demystified, like a little demystified, but also it's just like whatever, because there's OnlyFans now. So to me, OnlyFans it puts it in it's kind of like when people had phones like landlines, and then cell phones came, and it's like, okay, well cell phones are just so much better, and also it personalizes the phone. It's not this big landline that everyone uses. It's just yours. You can pick the background, you can pick the apps. It's your own little like hub of whatever you need.
You get to design it yourself.
Yeah,
it's your creation.
Exactly. It's your creation. We're gods. That's how that works.
Yeah, that would be good. Couples probably should start doing that more. Just recording their sex and putting it online.
Why not? You can make thousands of dollars. I mean, depending on how hot of a couple you are or how hot your girl is. But yeah, I thought about that when I was in quarantine. I was like, how lucky would I be if I like just happened? Because I remember when I go to ASU, there was a chick there who created OnlyFans, and they had a whole article about it in the state press, the ASU press, and which I almost wrote for, by the way. And then I was like, it was too much work. I didn't even write one article. They gave me one assignment. I was like, no, I'm good. But it was an article, and she made $75,000 in 2 months, her first 2 months.
Makes sense.
And she was super hot. But I remember just being like, dude, there are dudes who just date these chicks that make like over $10,000 a month on OnlyFans, and it's like,
okay, and then subscription,
and then you just make content with her. You fuck her a couple times a week, take a few photos of her in like lingerie or in the shower, and then you could just chill out. But yeah.
Also, I realized what a lot of them do. They'll collaborate with other like
other
OnlyFans accounts. Yeah, and they'll promote each other kind of in a circular method to try to get other subscribers going to each other's.
Yeah, they'll do that. I also kind of wish I bought OnlyFans stock before the pandemic.
Oh, they have stock and stuff? I didn't know they had issued stock.
What?
I
No,
didn't know
I mean the actual shares of the company.
Oh yeah, I didn't know they were publicly traded. That's why.
I'm almost positive they are. Yeah,
I should go see if
they
they
just
are. That'd
weren't.
be-
OnlyFans and Zoom, I would have invested in.
I know Zoom is
Also,
publicly
GameStop.
traded.
I did invest in AMC before it blew up, but GameStop, I had no idea that was going to blow up.
I put money into DraftKings and BetMGM before gambling started here.
That's good.
And before they opened in New York as well. And so,
So
really
you made some return there, huh?
Well, once the numbers come out, that's when the returns will come.
Oh yeah, once they see their quarterly earnings, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they got to report their shares, whatever. I think it's something is like a detailed stock of like each year how they did, not like exactly their accounting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think the last thing to bring up, I heard you talk about Malcolm Gladwell's outliers and how I guess it's certain hockey players or like they're born certain times. I think it's September, October, or something like that.
Yeah, September, October, and they're all born before the cutoff of the age restriction for like the season. Like if you have a U13 team and you have to be 13 years old, the cutoff just to sign up is September 14th, and on September 15th you turn 14. Then that's what the majority of those kids were. So it's just luck of birth.
Because it's all done by like when you were born. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so then like something like over 90% or something, I got to read that book again, but like are born and they're a year older, they're a year more mature, they're a year smarter. And so that gives them a massive advantage over the younger kids.
Yeah, because they're forced to like... or they're kind of more developed than the kids they're in.
They're more physically developed, mentally, emotionally, all that.
I remember a kid in Little League Baseball like that. He was like 2 weeks after the cutoff, so he was like taller and bigger than everyone in baseball.
He had a mustache. He's like, "What's up, guys? How's it going?"
He did. He was like the only one that was over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, dude, that's funny. When you see those little leagues and there's like a 6'3", like 13-year-old. I remember my middle school, we had a kid named Dylan who was 6'3", and I was like 5'8", so I was like tall for like a middle schooler. And I remember he's 6'3", he was so big. We were just like, oh my God, he's hilarious. And he's the most uncoordinated guy ever. I remember he was so clumsy.
I remember being...
Oh yeah, there was another kid who was 6'4" named Harvey. He was Somalian. He was also enormous. 8th grade, 13-year-old, 6'4". I wasn't 6'4" till fucking goddamn when I was 15. Yeah, 15 when I reached my height, and then I grew like 2 more inches in height. After high school, I grew 6'6".
6.5 feet tall. Goddamn.
Yeah. It's nice,
All the advantages it comes with knowing people have to look up at you and you get to look down upon them like you're a king.
Exactly. And dude, for a while, I remember when I used to go on Tinder way more. I really don't like the dating apps, but when I used to go on them, I just put my height. I just stopped. I just put my height and it would work. Like my height and some, like 2 photos of me, and like it'd work. I'd match with chicks. But I was like, because I'm 6'6", so why would I not use that to my advantage?
I know women like to say height's not the factor in it, but let's be honest. At least half of them will deny you.
It
just
definitely is a
based on
factor.
height.
Yeah, because it's like it's attractive. It's fucking primal. Also, chicks like feeling small. So it's like a big guy will make them feel smaller. They like feeling dainty.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a huge difference, but they just like a few differences. Like
it could be big in height, it could be big in weight. Like those wide guys, like those guys do well.
Because I remember my last girlfriend, she was about like 3 or 2 inches shorter, and I felt like that was perfectly fine.
Yeah,
it's like it's not like a huge difference. It's not like you have to like look down and it feels like you're kissing an adolescent.
Oh my God!
Like, fuck that.
Sounds like something you've done before, Karl.
No, I
what's
haven't.
that? Oh yeah, that's what a pedophile would say.
That's also what someone who hasn't touched a child would say. I keep at least an arm distance away from those kids. Back off.
Pedophiles ruin everything. It's like that Bill Burr joke. It's like now when kids are around, they're like, "Hey, get away from me! Get away!"
People are gonna think stuff. God damn it.
Exactly. People are gonna have ideas.
Exactly. I ain't trying to Jeffrey Epstein, you motherfuckers.
Oh my God! Yo, shout out to Jeffrey Epstein.
Shout out to Ghislaine Maxwell.
R.I.P. to the GOAT.
Shout out Ghislaine Maxwell. The power couple, Ghislaine.
I thought it was Ghislaine. There's too many. Ghislaine.
It sounds very formal saying Ghislaine.
Yeah, Ghislaine sounds. But I prefer to say Ghislaine.
My name's Lady
Ghislaine. Because I'm a child.
I'm from England right here.
Yeah.
My father, he was in the media conglomerate industry. I'm being falsely
laid back
accused of
slow.
child sexual trafficking.
Oh, dude.
Me and Jeffrey would
to-
never hit the children.
I used to have a joke about that. It obviously never worked. Only did it twice. But I used to have a joke where I talked about how like I found out like Jeffrey Epstein. He was obviously like very influenced. I mean, he was a big influencer, knew a lot of people. And one thing was how he bribed some of these girls. He'd be like, "Hey, I know the president of Stanford. I gotta get you into Stanford." And I was like, dude, if he was like, "You gotta suck this dick or you'll go to Stanford," I'm sucking all the dicks, bro. Like that was a punchline. I was like, "I'll suck 1,000 dicks to get into Stanford." Are you kidding me? Stanford.
Oh my god!
Why would I not do that?
So many people I went to high school would have sucked dicks to get into
Are you
Stanford.
kidding me? Yeah.
We only had one of my graduating
I wouldn't
class.
even cry, but I wouldn't even report it. Are you kidding me? As a high schooler, I'd be like, "I got what I wanted." All
So
right.
you got to suck off Brock Turner's dick to get on.
I'll suck his dick too. Are you kidding me? To get into Stanford, 100%. That's a great school. Yeah.
The former Stanford athlete.
Oh my god! But yeah, obviously people were like, "You're a sociopath." I'm like, hey, I want to win, bro. Stanford has the winners. Peter Thiel, what's his name? Sean Parker. Even though he didn't even go, he just hung around Stanford students.
Steve Jobs hung around the place too.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? It's like, let me just hang around more brilliant kids.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot of time, and to be honest, that's why a lot of Stanford classes they try to get really, I guess, clamped down on people just dropping in because of how expensive it is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
crazy expensive.
Well, I even remember ASU sometimes they'd get really like they'd be like looking out for people that they thought weren't students.
Yeah, I mean, because it's such a big school. I mean, it's the largest public school in America. So it's-
Or wait, you're talking about Stanford?
no, I'm talking about ASU.
Oh, ASU. Oh yeah, student body wise.
Yeah, student
Yeah.
body wise, it's like, I mean, on campus, I think it's ASU and Ohio State. They're always 1 and 2. They always switch. But on campus, because I have like over 40,000 on campus, and then the rest are online.
Yeah, no, and I know they were trying to expand it to like 100,000 or something.
Yeah,
ASU
I think it is over 100,000 now. Yeah,
across all the campuses and online. That
and
makes
online,
sense.
yes, total, it's over 100,000. That's why.
Because you know more about Minnesota. What's kind of the drug of choice people use from where you come from? Because where I'm from, it's all the study drugs. It's like the
Oh,
stuff
Adderall.
to keep Adderall, cocaine,
Yes.
Molly to keep you awake.
Yep.
Get you coding at.
That's interesting,
Mark
yeah.
Zuckerberg's not going to let you leave your desk till you fucking finish that code.
I gotta make the next Uber. I get it. Yeah,
Exactly. You think Tim Cook's going to let you leave your desk until you? It's like fuck out of here.
Dude, did you hear Fox News? Tim Cook makes like 94 mil a year or something like that. Fox News was like, yeah, you should, or something like that. But it's like, okay, but no, Minnesota. It was boozing. Like I remember, like my friends started boozing, like because I was a year young for my grade, so I graduated at 17. Like I was the reverse cutoff, where I turned the age of the cutoff the week before. So like if I was joining a U14 team, I would turn 14 the week before. And so that's what it was in high school. So all my friends were my age, but they were a grade below me. And so it was like going into my senior year, them going into their junior year was when they all started drinking. But it was like mostly booze, and there was a few potheads, and people would like judge them like, he smokes so much weed. But like the potheads were the most well-adjusted kids. They weren't getting into like a crazy amount of trouble. They're always very chill. They're always very friendly to everybody. And I was like, do they have this huge stigma of like, as soon as you can smoke one joint, they're like, he's a pothead. Like there's this big stigma about it. But yeah, they were like the most well-adjusted, normal people, even in sports. They were like the coolest people. So I thought that was interesting.
That was
the kids that
definitely
smoked a joint, a few times a week were the ones that like were vilified, even though they could still drive around. They weren't getting into DUIs. They were, and yeah, so it's like, yeah.
That was the first realization on like tearing down some of the scariness of marijuana, the uncertainties. It's like you see the ones who just use marijuana a lot, and they're actually pretty fine. It's
Yeah.
the ones that then start going off into other drugs and
Yeah.
like overdoing alcohol.
And a lot of that time, it's like, I mean, there are kids who do that, but I think because I lived in a lot of rural Minnesota, I lived in the cities too, but the rural places, and so those are just more and more tamed farmland, grain and dairy farmers. It's like blue collar, like Republicans that like, I'm a 5th generation farmer. It's like those types of kids. And so like, that's way different than like Minneapolis. You go to Minneapolis, there's like Eden Prairie, there's Minnetonka, which is where like Prince lived, and like
the
there's
high Somalian population there.
but there's all these rich schools in those areas. And there's also a ton of like really nice private schools, like the Blake School. That's where Al Franken went to school, and he went to Harvard. And it's like there's all these prestigious, rich schools there. And so there, I bet you, if I went to those campuses in like the cities in Minneapolis, like all these rich high schools, I bet you they were doing a ton of coke there too, and like Adderall.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of like a socioeconomic thing, like the drugs. Isn't that funny how like drugs can measure up where you're at in life? Like if you're just buying coke on the reg, no problem. It's like that's why we associate with businessmen because like they have that kind of cash on them, you know, Wall Street, all those guys.
Oh yeah, because like if you're cocaine, you go through it quickly. Like trust me, with just 1 gram, $80, that's taking me about a week or a little less to go through. Yeah. Well, I'm also a big sharer, but anyway.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
You know, yeah, you should be.
Oh god. Well, it was just like I'd always hate the people that want to like get in with other people using stuff, but they never want to put in themselves.
Oh yeah. The people that like will be like, oh yeah, let's all go out to eat, and then they go there, they're like, I forgot my wallet. Can you cover me? It's like, motherfucker, I know damn well you didn't forget your wallet.
Let's all split the bill evenly.
Yeah. It's like you had 3 appetizers. How about no? How about you pay for it? That's why Venmo. I remember we saw John Mulaney, and when I saw him, he had a funny joke about how like people don't realize that Venmo is just for giving money to your drug dealers. He's like, that's all I use. He's like, what idiot is out here giving them cash? I just Venmo them, you know. But yeah, it was very, very great watching John Mulaney because he's a master. He's amazing.
You see like why he's so talented, why he gets these shows, why he gets paid.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long time. He puts in the work. Like John Mulaney was great, but there's 2 comics I was blown away by. It was Kyle Kinane and fucking Mark Norman. Those 2 were like world class. It was incredible watching them. I was like, oh my god, you could tell they've been doing it for 15, 18 years. You know, 4 specials for I think Kinane has 4, but yeah, I've always liked those guys too. But see them live, it's like because I think that's I don't know if I talked about it on my podcast, but I think that's a nice thing about going to a bigger scene is you see the talent pool. You see like 20, 30-year comics that are making 6 figures traveling across the world and have done several tours and have done multiple hours and legit are killers.
That here like we just integrated. They made it like the most important aspect of their life,
and it is a part of their life. They are professional stand-up comedians.
They take it seriously
for
too.
Decades. Yeah,
that is something annoying with people sometimes here. It's like they don't take it seriously enough.
Oh, they do not, and it's because like, and I think that's every. I think that might be every scene because there's a big party culture. You know, like is it cocaine?
True.
Big drinkers. Smoking weed, like a lot of that, and it's like, but you can still do all that and still be disciplined, but it is much harder. And also because stand-ups are like the funniest people, even open mics, you're hanging around the funnest people for hours on end, and so it's like a big party, and then every day becomes a big party, and then you know, like after a while, like your skill set will start to slip, but the thing is catching yourself and being like, you know what, I need to take this more serious, I need to cut back on the booze and all of this. But yeah. But I think I see some comics now that I think will be great in a couple of years, and I see some comics that are doing that same style of like partying a lot that I see them fucking being 10 years in and still being in the scene and just watching everybody go by and some people make it and some people not, and just being like, well, why am I still here? And I'm gonna be like, I remember 10 years ago when you were just fucking partying away and not working on your act, you know.
I mean, I feel at least people who do it consistently, they're putting in, I guess, the chance for them. They just got to also put in the work and be there for the opportunities.
Yeah, like, and some people are so skilled they could turn it on. Like I don't remember what book I read. I think it was a Tim Ferriss book. I love Tim Ferriss, but he was talking about like high performers, and how like one ability they always have is they can turn it on like instantly, like when they need to. Like George St. Pierre, he was common for like turning it on when he needed to.
I was gonna say like Habib.
Yeah, Habib's another one. Marcel Garcia, he's another one where like obviously one of the great jiu-jitsu players of all time, but like with him, he'd be like doing Abu Dhabi, like ready to go to the finals, and be taking a nap in the locker room. And they'd be like, "You're up." He's like, "All right," and then you just turn it on as soon as he got out.
That's just like the Formula One driver Kimi Räikkönen, where he was known to be very casual before driving and even sometimes sleeping before he gets into the car.
Exactly. But when the push came to shove, he would put his game face on and he's ready to go. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
It was like.
Oh, there was a funny promo they had for Formula One where they're all like speaking like, "Oh yeah, this is my passion, everything," and then him at the end is like, "Oh, just a hobby." It's like, I don't have to do this if I don't want to.
Oh my god, get out of here! And then like I was thinking like, isn't it like Formula One? I don't know if this is true, but like a lot of them live in Monaco.
Yeah,
because it's like no taxes there.
Part of that, well, no taxes for non-French citizens.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you have one race.
I thought
there.
Monaco was in Italy always.
No. It's
in France.
Well, it's like France and Italy, like where they connect.
It's like the border.
Yeah. But I mean, it's obviously dependent on like
Because,
where
yeah,
you're from, how you get taxed.
Because I know a ton of them live there.
Yeah.
And Monaco's, from what I've seen in movies and the photos, it looks beautiful.
Well, they live
So I
there
was
in the
like,
off season. They'll live
Exactly.
there a lot, and then let's say if it's like because it's like Central Europe a lot,
Mm-hmm.
that'll be like their place they are in between races.
I don't
They'll just-
understand the no taxes because it's like, obviously taxes suck, and like I don't understand if you're making like 40 million a year. Like they make so much money.
They have to. I think they have to also be there 181 days or however much, like at least one day, more, like 6 months and a day a year.
Yeah.
Like there's like rules with it, how long.
Yeah.
And plus, if
And
you're
also-
a U.S. citizen, as long as you're still a U.S. citizen, they'll tax your income even if you're in
Yeah.
Monaco.
Yeah.
so-
They don't give a shit.
Yeah, they'll be assholes.
But yeah, even then, if I made 40 million one year, which a lot of them do make, and some make way more, obviously, it's like, you could take 30%. I don't blow through that money that quickly, and also you're on the road most of the year anyways. So it's like, when will he have time to spend it anyways? So yeah, that's just my reason, but everyone has their own reason for money. Like everyone has a cap, and each one's is different. Like if I made $100,000 untaxed tomorrow, I'm quitting my job. I'm not even putting my 2 weeks notice. And some people, they'll be like, that's not enough. So
I would do it. I would quit my job for like comedy and stuff for 50,000. If I made 50,000 a year, I'd quit it right then. Because then I know.
50,000 a year.
Well, at least that. I need
Oh,
at
okay.
least, and that would probably be even like an after tax thing. Like
Oh,
probably
I mean, 50,000
pre-tax
you were
thing.
comedy. Yeah. No, I meant like if somebody just gave me $100,000,
Oh, like that.
like tomorrow, like no tax. Like here you go. Like they just Venmo'd me it. I would quit my job right now.
Oh yeah, definitely for 100K.
Yeah, but some people wouldn't. They'd be like, "Oh, I'll still work." But yeah, and it's only because like I only want to do comedy. Like I found my passion. I love it, but I only want to do it. And I was spoiled because my first year was during the pandemic. I was on unemployment for that whole year, and it was the best year of my life. Unfortunately, I feel bad saying that for all the people that died in the pandemic, and I feel sorry for you, and I hope you're better, but
We wish
it was the
them
best
well.
year for my life. I found my passion. I fucking got to just do stand-up for a year. I learned so much about myself. I did mushrooms. All these great things. But I was spoiled because my only job is to do comedy. So, like, I joke and say I was professional open micer because I heard Jesselnick say that. Because with him, like, he worked as like a PA or like as a writer's assistant, and then they would get like furloughed when the show ended, and then he'd get unemployment. And so he's like, I was a professional open micer. I was writing jokes all day and then just doing open mics, and like that's how I felt. I felt like a professional open micer because I would just write jokes for hours and then just go and try them, even if it was a couple mics a week, and like. Yeah, so that's why I feel like, and I'm realizing now that like maybe I can reach that level of writing, but not with my job right now. I would have to like find something else, and maybe I shouldn't even strive for that level of writing. Maybe I should just do what I can, when it comes to comedy.
And the good thing us being relatively young is that like we don't need to rush in with all this stuff. Like that's why with like a bigger move to a bigger city, I'm thinking more 3 to 5 years down the line. I'm not thinking immediately.
And like,
I mean, some people are ready now. It's just I know I could use some more time.
And I totally get you. And me, like, I'm 28. I'll be 29 in August, so it's like it's coming up. But and that's still young. 28, 29 is still very young because I'm not planning on having kids or getting married within the next decade. And so, like, because I'm just focused on stand-up. So it's like, but I do realize, because I talked about as a DJ, as I get older, I get more comfortable. Like, I remember somebody told me, two comics, in fact, told me that, like, you should move before you turn 30. Because once you're 30, it's way hard to move. And I feel it. Like, I'm 28, and, like, every month that goes by, I get more comfortable. I don't even like Phoenix. But I get more comfortable, and I get more set in my ways, and I just become more... like acclimated to amenities, and so I may not want to live in a studio apartment with roaches and rats. If I'm 30, I'd be like, I'm not going. Ew. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And so it will stop me from.
Yeah, it's like how
else.
far will you go to succeed? It's like
Exactly.
will you be willing to live in your car? To
And it's like, and I would be willing to do that, but as I get older, it's less and less. And so, and I understand that's why they say it's a young man's game. Because like I remember hearing Dane Cook and some other comic, they're on a podcast. And then the comic asked Dane, he's like, dude, remember like we used to do like those shitty open mics, like bringer shows, all this stuff, like grinding, like for so many years. And the guy goes, I couldn't do it all over again. And Dane's like, no, I couldn't. Like that's why they call it a young man's game. Because like I'm 50 now. Like, there's no way I'm doing open mics and Dune Bringer shows.
It's one of those things you're glad you did once, but you're also glad you never have to do again.
Exactly. Because when you're a 23-year-old kid, you're like, hell yeah, I'll live with 7 roommates in a 1-bedroom. Like, you don't give a shit. You're like, I'll eat off 1 plate and 1 cup. I'll eat
sacrificing comfort.
Yeah, I'll eat ramen and McDonald's if I'm feeling fancy for the next 5 years. Because I'm okay living in squalor. I'm poor. I don't give a shit. I'm young. But yeah, every month I get older. So that's another thing, is taking time on. But I'm planning on going to Austin sometime in the next couple months.
Oh, that's awesome. I know I'm trying to plan when they have the Formula One race to go down there then.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, because I have my uncle and like aunt and cousins. They live in the Austin area, okay. So I was going to stay there.
And when is the Formula One? Because I know the season just ended, but it's going to start again.
I believe October is when they hold the one in Austin, because they're doing they're doing one in Miami.
Oh, okay,
so,
that's cool.
So it's go to the racetrack during the day, and then at night go to some of the comedy clubs.
Yeah, I definitely go to Austin because obviously they have they're building a bunch of clubs, a bunch of venues, and what I've heard is that the caliber of comics there is just horrible, But I'm not going there because the caliber horrible. I'm going there to see if I'm gonna like the scene. I don't know how much I'll enjoy it because I like living in a big city, and I don't know how big Austin is, but I know it's not a huge city. But I know it's a big comedy scene, and I hear it's amazing for comics anywhere from 2 to 5 years in. They're it's great for so many people, and I know a bunch of comedy clubs are moving there and opening up, and they're going to be booking people.
It's on a good level with Chicago with on a comedy scene.
Yes, and it seems like they would grow their talent. They would see talent. There would be people at the showcases. I would be on a first name basis with the comedy club owner, unlike here. And I think I'm like an actual comedy club owner, like an actual improv, or a Cap City or something, like something that legit headliners go to.
You're talking about headliners go to the talent showcases.
No, I'm talking about shows like if a Tempe Improv had an open mic, it'd be the most popular open mic in town. Because it'd be a legit open mic at an actual club. And so over there, they're going to be doing that. And I'm talking about a club where big name headliners will go to, not like a JP's or Improv Mania. No dig of those places, but those are clubs that are fed.
But you're saying the Tempe Improv, the House of Comedy, CB Live, Stand Up Live. Okay, yeah.
Yes, places. Exactly. Like you'd be on a first name basis with those club owners in Austin, and some comics are they know them, they have their phone number, and here we can only have that pretty much with C clubs like Improv Media or JP's. No offense to those guys, but it's our friends headline them, and I've seen our friends and some people that aren't my friends.
They're local comics.
That are horrendous.
It's
local comics. Sometimes it's comics that have been doing it for 3 months, which is hilarious. But so it's that's a different thing. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping to go in the next couple of months. We're going to New York in 3 weeks.
Oh hell yeah! What's the group you're doing with that? That's got to be totally awesome.
It's a very big group, so we'll see what happens there. But it's me, Tristan, his girlfriend Haley, Richie, Charlie, Seth, and Chase Harder. So 7 of us total.
Okay.
And so yeah, I'm excited for that. Hopefully we get to do open mics. I mean, that's the goal. But I was talking to Jared and Andrew, and they're like, dude, the open mics are so hard to even get in because you have to sign up and all this stuff, and so yeah. I mean, if they can hook me up on a show or something, or hook us up. I don't know. Tristan has been there. I feel like he knows people there, but I don't know what's going to happen. We haven't really talked about the whole logistics thing, but we should. Because New York, I want to check out the comedy scene to see if I like it, see if I like the city. And then Austin is going to be the same thing. Austin, LA. And Austin, I want to do it before the summer. I want to go to New York, Austin, LA all by May is my goal. So
okay.
And my job right now, I'm 2 weeks in. It's going to be remote in the next 5 weeks, I believe. And so once that happens, it gives me a lot of freedom to travel if I need to and not have to take days off.
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
Because I can just work off in a coffee shop. I'm not a coffee shop. I can work in an Airbnb or a hotel.
You can work on the road, yeah.
I can work on the road and not lose any money and still check out the other scenes. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to travel out of state for comedy if I'm able to, because I've only performed here for the past, tomorrow will be 2-year anniversary.
Oh, hell yeah. Plus, you get to test yourself out in a new area. That's perfect.
Absolutely, because all I know are Arizona crowds, and like I don't have any local material. I have one local joke, but it's not even a local joke. It's a joke about a holiday. So
when
it's
I
like,
go back home, I'm gonna try to do more of like the San Francisco open mics.
You should, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely, and then just check it out and see what it is there, and then maybe you can like meet some really cool people, and then like if they have shows, they could put you on, But it's not like that. It's not like that network, that gross network. Because that's the thing. I don't hate networking. I hate the networking that's gross. And the networking that's gross is the kind that you become friends with somebody because they book you on a show. Like, you'd be like, oh, I became friends with Karl because he books House of Comedy. It's like, well, that's gross. Because it's like, I don't even care about Karl. I don't even like him as a person. I'm just gonna try and be friends with him so he can so I can get something out of it.
Yeah, it's like well, how's this person gonna advance me?
Exactly.
You don't even think, oh, this person's actually a decent person.
Yeah, and that's gross. And that's one thing where I'm kind of hesitant about going to LA because I was listening to one comic and this LA comic was like, oh yeah, like you should be nice to like assistants because in 10 years they'll be running a network, and it's like they may put me on something, and I was like, that is disgusting. You should be nice to be nice.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be nice because you might get a sitcom in 10 years. So it's like, it's that same mentality here. I feel like we almost adopted that. I don't even know. But yeah, this scene has that, and it grosses me the fuck out. It's so disgusting to be like, oh, I'm going to network respond. Oh, you open for this person? Let me get your Instagram. Maybe we can do something. I'm like, oh, like they're not even funny or cool,
They're just like reaching out and they think they'll get it automatically.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sometimes hesitant, but I guess the best thing is just to put your name out there, not to just say, oh, I want a spot automatically, but just to put it.
Put your name out there is important. But yeah, I don't read, because like, yeah, like I remember having a conversation with someone about this, another comic, where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to go to somebody's show so they can book me. I mean, a lot of people do that. They'll go to a show, just hang out and be like, ooh, look at me. I do stand up. Remember me? And then they will like, that's how they'll get booked and stuff. But to me, it's like, no, I go to the open mics and I get booked through there. Everybody who's booked me has seen me kill. So it's like, the product before you throw the talent up there.
Yeah,
it's not we'll see how Chudier does.
They have dependable talent. You're not just like, trying to like throw in.
Yeah, they've seen me consistently do well in shitty rooms. So it's like, okay, I'm sure he'll do well in this show. Mm-hmm. Rather than being like, hey, can you bring 8 people? Or hey, it's not just a bringer. He was very nice to me, and he smoozed and boozed with me when I was at this party.
It's not just a bringer show, and they're like, oh, he brought 8 people. I don't care if he bombs.
Yeah. It's not a bringer show or credits. I remember one guy was like, I did a show, and one guy was like, oh, he won this comedy competition. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I saw his clip, and it was the most like local shit material. I mean, it wasn't shit material. It was killing, but it was local. And I was like, bro, this is a hometown boy. He probably had his whole family there. And then I saw him live, and he was the most mediocre comic ever. But I remember he was like super cocky. It was like, oh yeah, I pretty much do comedy full time. I was like, yeah, sure. That's why you're dropping in on the show. Get the fuck out of here, bro. If you were doing it full time, you would be dropping on some random show. But anyways.
All right, we can. I don't know if you want to tell the camera. We can end it on that if you want to give any.
Yeah, how long have we been recording?
Well, this second since you came back, a little over 42, and we got a little over 40 for the first one.
All right,
as well.
so yeah, plenty of time.
We good. Yeah, it's just if you have any shows ahead, but we'll give it out. Chudier Gau's Day Off, damn it.
Yes, listen to my podcast. It's called Chudier Gau's Day Off. Maybe Karl could put the link underneath.
I will. I'll put it. I'll add that with it.
Yeah, it's a podcast where I interview comics. Hopefully, I want to interview like musicians and other people outside of life.
Oh yeah,
but so far I interview comics. And we talk about everything. We talk about their lives. We'll talk about comedy. We'll talk about whatever the case. It's been a lot of fun. I have 17 episodes now, and Karl, you've been on one of them. I think episode 16.
Yeah.
So listen to that one. It's called. It's a long one.
Yeah.
It's called. He'd like it if I just cut my head off. Which is a quote that our friend Noah said, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, if people who listen to it, they say like, "What would be a good one you recommend?" I mean, there are a lot of good ones. I think my best one is Daniel Bright's one, and it's a part 2 of a 4-hour long one where I did mushrooms with him. and it's
It
called
means
"Carry
so
On My
much
Wayward
now.
Son." And yeah, and it's symbolic. You know, me and Daniel were both in a very down place. Maybe him more than me now.
But I gotta imagine you gotta probably like value that after what's gone with him.
Yeah,
just that
yeah.
you got that done.
I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna promote it tonight
Yeah.
at the mic.
Oh hell yeah! Promote that shit, goddamn it!
I'll promote it at the mic, but listen to Daniel.
Exactly. Like
then-
hear him talk about his previous life. You will know his past story. You will know what he saw
It was
at
fun.
military school.
We both shared. Yeah, he saved a kid from after getting raped. You know, there's a lot of stuff happened.
He didn't know what rape was at the time. He just brought him into the office.
Yep, just brought him to the office. It was a brilliant episode. We were both high on mushrooms for 4 hours. I shared.
And he showed
I shared
you
why I was
guns.
depressed that my podcast ended. My
he
other podcast.
And he showed you guns.
He showed me his guns. He had a lot of guns in his bus. It was a lot of fun. And then I'd say listen to those two parts. But my favorite episode is the one I did with Charlie Jr. And it's called Lose My Number. Yeah. And I think it's episode 8. And that's my personal favorite because I felt like that was a pod where I found my rhythm. And like I knew Charlie, she was a good friend of mine, and I knew her. But after that, I knew her way better, and we just flowed well. And it was like I think it's my longest episode. Actually, no, the Daniel Bryan is my longest, but it's my second longest episode to date. And then also Seth Balance ones are good. There's a lot of good episodes I do with a lot of people, and it's great. Check it out, you guys. I think you'll like it.
Tremendous. All right, this is 60 Minutes with Karl G, episode 11. Thank you so much.